Bin safety. It is that time of year, harvest time, and every year we as producers store some quantity of grain that is not quite dry. Oh, the grain should be okay is a common word often heard, and if nothing else, I can always turn the fan on to dry the grain down some. Do we always do it when we're supposed to? There are many factors to consider in stored grain, including personal grain bin safety. First, we need to visit about grain storage over that storage season, and then there'll be another one we'll talk about grain bin safety itself. Do you know exactly what the stored moisture is for any commodity that you are storing? You will likely say, yes, I do, but do you? Are there any weed seeds in the storage container? Are there any green kernels from a late maturing crop? Are there weather related maturities of maybe some sprouted grain that end up in that storage facility? All those can add up to problems. So when we deliver grain to a storage container, we many times forget that any fines in a load of commodity does not flow like dry grain and will congregate in the middle of the bin. To help alleviate the center gathering of fines, a spreader could be mounted in the middle of the bin to spread the grains more evenly across the storage area. Step one complete, right? Not for sure. Although many storage facilities have aeration today, there are some that do not. Turning a fan on might not be the answer for you. Take all these considerations into account during the harvest season and in times of short storage facilities like we are experiencing this year. Step two is monitoring the grain during this storage period. How many of you regularly monitor your stored grain throughout the storage cycle? Are you one of those that drive by a bin during a frosty day and say, uh-oh, no frost on the roof, maybe we should take a look at the grain to see what's up, only to get home, the phone rings, and then you have a tendency to forget about it. Or you can go by and say, well, the grain bin roof is frosty today, it'll be all right, right? I'm not so sure about that. You need to develop a timely routine check, monitor grains, and that is not December and again 4 months later. Every year we are saddened by the loss of a family member or dear friend from a tragic grain storage entrapment due to spoiled grain. Regularly monitoring can really help. Does not mean it'll stop the issues, but those tragic circumstances will be greatly reduced because of good monitoring of your commodity. Thirdly, when checking those grain storage facilities, always take someone along and let others know what your plans are and where you are going. The winter season can be very treacherous, climbing on metal structures, and one slip could be very tragic, and or maybe a broken body part or a ladder fall off of the roof, leaving you stranded on a roof on a very sunny but very cold day. This could likely lead to frostbitten body parts or even succumb to the very cold temperatures. Maybe a grain storage facility has grain down 5, 6 feet and you jump in thinking you can get back out and can't. So having everybody know where you're going is critical in keeping you on the safe side. Many years ago, I had a neighbor who climbed a bin with a ladder falling off the bin once he got up there. He did not tell anyone where he was, and luckily for him, the bin was not as big as most of those are today. He took his coat off and his snow pants, tied them together, and lowered and tied that to the ladder on the roof, and lowering himself down so falling was not as dramatic as jumping. He still broke an arm, but in his case, maybe was able to save his life. Storing grain is very common, as grain markets are usually down a little at the harvest due to harvest pressure. So preservation is critical in the delivery of top quality commodity to receive that top quality market price. Keep these in good selling condition by monitoring your during the growing season safely.